Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Other World. I'm your host, TheMadRaven, and in today's episode, we're going to go to space. Was that too much? Maybe. But yes, today we're talking about Three-Eye Atlas and the strange comet or UFO. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Is it a comet or a UFO? Let me know down in the comments below. But before we get into the crazy theories, we need to know the history of Three-Eye Atlas. Now, there's going to be a lot of big words, so I'm going to try my best to dumb it down for myself. Three-Eye Atlas was discovered on July 1st, 2025 by the Atlas telescope. It was given the temporary designation A11PL3Z. What that stands for? Hell if I know. And the discovery observations were submitted to the International Astronomical Union's Minor Planet Center, the MPC. These observations suggest that the object could be a highly ancestral trajectory. Okay, I tried my best, okay? I really did try my best on how to pronounce that. I even had fucking Google say it to me and my brain went Okay, it went down an extra... Fuck, I cannot say that word. Whatever the fuck. It went down a path that might have come close to Earth's orbit, which led to the MPC to temporarily list the object as a near-Earth object confirmation page until the orbit could be confirmed. You know, I wonder if that means that the Three-Eye Atlas had a chance to hit Earth. Well, I guess any object coming from space could always has a chance of hitting the planet, but I didn't know that was like a concern that Three-Eye Atlas could potentially just ram itself into Earth. I did not know that, so that was a little shocking. Follow-up observations from other observatories involving both professional and amateur astronomers began to reveal that the object's trajectory would not come near Earth, but instead could be an interstellar object with a hyperbolic trajectory. Pre-discovery observations of Three-Eye Atlas confirmed that its interstellar trajectory, making it the third interstellar object to come into our solar system, which is pretty cool. Earlier observations of Three-Eye Atlas were unclear on whether it was an asteroid or a comet, but observations on July 2nd, 2025, by the Deep Random Survey, Lowell Discovery Telescope, and the Canada-France-Hawaii Telescope all showed a marginal coma with a potential tail-like elongated 3 arc seconds and an angular length, which indicated the object as a comet, which I have no idea what that means, but I'm going to assume it's the little tail-like behind every comet. NASA says it's just a typical comet. However, through the year, Three-Eye Atlas has acted strange for it to be just a comet. For instance, it's shooting gas out of itself in a way that people who observe the comet says it looks like it's wobbly, it's been rotating, and it's giving the effect of stabilizing itself, which makes people believe it's a UFO because a floating rock in space doesn't do that, which I kind of thought they did, but apparently they don't. Most comets tend to follow a straight and smooth path to wherever they're going. A video of Three-Eye Atlas was also going around where it shows a man tracking it on his telescope, and he asked AI if the comet looked to be like a man-made object, and the AI said the way it was behaving made it believe it could be a man-made object. Now, obviously, it's an AI, so I doubt we could take, its theory of it being a man-made object too seriously, but I still thought it was pretty interesting to share with you guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Is if AI is smart enough to look at Three-Eye Atlas to determine if it's a comet or a man-made object. Another thing that makes people believe it's a UFO has to do with the orbiter of the comet passing by Mars and Jupiter, which, reading an article, it seems that some scientists believe Mars and Jupiter to have the potential for, or did at some point have had life in their planets, which I didn't know that, but I don't really stay up to date with anything space related. So, that's interesting. I like, for Mars, I did hear a lot of theories that Mars, we either came from Mars or that there was once alien life in Mars. So, I could believe that. But in Jupiter, as far as I know, I never really heard anything about Jupiter having the potential for life, but I think that's pretty cool. Also, the fact that NASA hasn't posted any real clean images of Three-Eye Atlas has people wondering why has NASA refused to do it? With the technology we have, I personally do believe by now we should be able to get a fairly decent picture of an object in space, but you know, maybe it's just moving too fast. Maybe that's why it's blurry or something. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't really have a good answer for that, but you know, it is pretty interesting. Then there was the government shutdown, and the comet was pretty close during that time, and all of NASA's feeds went down, and it has people thinking, was the shutdown planned or a coincidence, or did NASA plan to have the government shut down so NASA could have the excuse to turn off all their cameras and shut down their site? But we all know it's because the dictator wannabe is a shitty president, that's why. And apparently it grew a second tail. Astronomers, there we go, holy shit. Okay, I don't know why my brain farted right there. Have observed 3i Atlas growing a second tail, which apparently pointed to the direction of the sun, which is wild because as far as I know, comets don't do that. They usually just have the one tail, and you know, it never points to the sun. So you know, that is definitely strange. Definitely unlike comet behavior, if I say so myself. Some people believe it can even be behind the famous WOW signal. Wow, I stuttered there, my bad. For those who don't know, in 1977, the Ohio State University Big Ear Radio Telescope received an unusually strong narrowband radio signal, leading to the widespread excitement about the possibility of having an encounter evidence of life beyond Earth. At the time, astronomer Jerry Enman, I want to say, spotted the highly unusual outburst and printed out records annotating the major radio band fluctuation? With the word WOW in red pen, hence the nickname the WOW signal. WOW. Again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering all this mumble jumble. I'm doing my best to dumb things down. The incident has remained a mystery for decades, never spotted again in over 48 years, leaving plenty of questions in its wake. Where did it come from, and why did it only last for 72 seconds? Damn it, people, sometimes you can't last as long as you want, okay? Sometimes you know, you can last 30 seconds and you just gotta be thankful for that, damn it. Sorry, that was a little off topic, my bad. Now, Harvard astronomer and alien hunter LeBeau has a wild new theory about the signal. He suggests that 3i Atlas could have sent off the signal back in 1977 when it was still 600 times the distance between the Earth and a sun away from us. Examining the sky coordinates of the object and the WOW signal, LeBeau concluded that the chance of two random directions in the sky being aligned to that level is about 0.6%. If the WOW signal originated from 3i Atlas, how powerful was the transmitter, he wrote? Once again, raising the possibility that the object could be an artifact from an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Which I gotta say, you know, that is a weird coincidence. If it is a coincidence that the WOW signal and the 3i Atlas comet both kind of came in a similar direction from space, from interstellar space, which, you know, I definitely do kind of think it definitely leads more into it possibly being an aircraft or an alien ship of some kind. Again, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm sure definitely, if you listen to this episode, you could definitely tell, man, my rating skills, not that great. But you know what, David, I did my best. The educational system has failed me for far too long. So what do you guys think? Is 3i Atlas a comet with some strange characteristics? Or is NASA covering up the truth? Could 3i Atlas be a UFO with aliens from another world? Thanks for joining me on another adventure through the other world. I'm your host, TheMadRaven, and I'll see you next time.